The East African Community Regional Force, the EACRF, will complete its withdrawal from the Democratic Republic of Congo today. Troops began moving out of the country on Sunday after Kinshasa deemed the regional force ineffective and refused to renew its mandate, which ends today. The regional bloc first deployed troops in the violence-plagued region last November after a resurgence from the M23 rebel group. DRC authorities invited the EAC to deploy its forces to free the areas taken by the rebels and protect civilians. But the deployment's future was thrown into doubt when the Congolese president, Felix Tshisekedi, accused the force of cohabitating with the rebels rather than forcing them to lay down their arms. Tshisekedi is now counting on security forces from the Southern African Development Community, or the SADC, to which the DRC also belongs, to replace the troops from East Africa. Meanwhile, the UN has had peacekeeping missions in the country for more than 2 decades, but they have also been accused of ineffectiveness, with Kinshasa calling for their accelerated departure from next month. Let's get more of this. Chris Optaringa is in Kinshasa and joins us with the very latest. Chris, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us here on Africa Live. Chris, today is the end of the East Africa Regional Force mandate in eastern DR Congo. What can you see happening on the ground?
Well, Richard, 250 soldiers from South Sudan have left the east of the DRC. They left in 2 groups. And, the withdrawal of these troops who are operating under the East African Community Regional Force comes 5 days after troops from Kenya started leaving the east of the DRC. We have seen a statement from the East African community saying that the remaining troops from Burundi and Uganda will start withdrawing in the coming weeks. They have been given a deadline of the 7th of January to leave the DRC, in line with the decision by the Democratic Republic of Congo that refused to extend the mandate of this regional force. And so we are waiting to see the remaining troops from Burundi and Uganda leave when their deadline comes on the 7th of January. Richard?
Well, Chris, if the East African force is indeed withdrawing, can you talk about who is now occupying their bases?
Well, so according to the leaders from the East African community, the people who are supposed to occupy these areas left by the East African troops is the government army of the DRC. That was a statement that was issued by security chiefs from the East African community recently. And soon after that declaration was made, we got a statement from the M23 leader, Bertrand Bisimwa, saying that they will not allow the Congolese forces to occupy these areas that they handed over to the East African forces. So there's likely to be an outbreak of conflict in that area. Both the government and the M23 rebels seem to be very determined to fight it out. They have totally thrown out all calls for dialogue between them, and so there's a very huge likelihood of an outbreak of fighting after the East African forces leave that area, because the M23 rebels are accusing the government forces of working with militia groups like the FDLR, which is composed of Hutu, ethnic Hutus, who are accused of carrying out the genocide in Rwanda in 1994, of killing the Tutsi community in eastern DRC, and they're saying they will not allow that to happen. Richard?
All right, Chris Optaringa in Goma, thanks for that.